everybody. Welcome back to Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs. She's Ann Sprouse. And
together we're Sprouse.
Scouse?
Scouse, that works.
Or Sprags. Take your pick.
Oh, Sprags is even better.
Sprags sounds like a country and western band or something, you know.
It kind of does, like, Flat and Sprags.
Yeah, exactly. And now here's Jasper Sprags with
Jasper Sprags on his guitar. Jasper Sprags on the fiddle.
On the French harp. Yeah.
Next stop, Wendy's.
Next stop, Wendy's. Exactly. So, we're back to talk some more Twin Peaks. But you may say, well, Twin Peaks: The Return is over. There's no more Twin Peaks to talk about.
Cheers.
You foolish mortals. No, there's plenty more Twin Peaks to talk about. Especially today, because we're going to listen to the sounds today.
Listen to the sounds.
Listen to the sounds. So,
Yep.
So, and this, of course, is a reference to the new soundtrack for The Return and the score for The Return.
Mm-hmm.
That just came out, what was it, like in September 8th, I think, and gave us 2 brand new CDs of Twin Peaks music to add to our existing libraries, because, of course, we all have the Twin Peaks soundtrack, the Twin Peaks Season 2 soundtrack, and the Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me soundtrack, right, kids?
Duh.
Yeah.
And we have all of Julee Cruise's records, right?
Exactly. Including The Art of Being a Girl, the 3rd album. So,
the 3rd album, yes.
Which came out a little later, but yeah.
Yeah, like a decade after.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a gap. I'm not quite sure why, and I'm not quite sure why there weren't any more albums after that, but okay.
I don't know, but there should have been.
I would think there should have been at least 5, in my opinion, at least.
Something, yeah.
But they are great albums, and the 3rd one's notable because Julee Cruise does a remake of Falling, which is hidden away as a hidden track.
Yep.
Which is great. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, good.
Yep. But okay, so I'm going to leave it up to you, Zan. Do you want to talk the score first or the soundtrack?
Let's talk the soundtrack first.
All right. I kind of thought you'd do that because it's more notable, at least, because of all the different bands that appear. So, so this is the Twin Peaks : music from the limited event series, which sounds just a mouthy way of saying Twin Peaks: The Return soundtrack, in my opinion.
Pretty much. That's pretty much what we're talking about here.
But yeah, so now this is a little different for us because obviously we've been reviewing TV episodes, but here we are going to try to go through this. Now, do you want to go through it track by track, or do you just kind of want to make general observations along the way? I'll leave that up to you because you are more of a music aficionado than I am, although I am an aficionado, but not nearly in your league.
You're not a recovering music snob like I am?
No, I don't have walls, like entire big bookcase shelves of CDs and albums and all that. So I defer to your expertise. Let's just put it that way.
I got a new shelf for all my box sets.
Excellent. Very nice. Very nice. Now, obviously, you in podcast land cannot see this, but trust me.
No, that's true.
But trust me, it's awesome. It's amazing.
So many records. So many records.
Yep.
Yeah, I still.
How many records how many CDs do you think you have, roughly, ballpark?
Oh, I can give you an exact number because I have that on a spreadsheet.
So you index them. Excellent. I respect that.
Let me tell you,
as somebody who does a spreadsheet for his comic books, I totally respect that move.
Let me tell you a little story.
Tell me a story.
When I was in college, I was burglarized.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
And they stole my television. This is how long ago I went to college.
Yeah.
They stole my Sega Genesis.
Oh.
That's how long ago that was. I'm
Excellent.
having problems with Microsoft Excel. It's terrible.
That's okay.
and they stole.
I had an Atari 2600 and Commodore 64 back in the day. That was my jam.
Right, but in college.
Yeah. Well, not in college. No.
See, yeah,
That
this
was
was
when I was
college.
younger. That was when I was younger.
Yeah, I can't get Excel to open.
That's okay.
It's terrible. Well, I'll try to get Excel to open, and
Okay.
then I'll
Yeah,
tell you that.
you could just tell us later, when you get it. So,
Um, so I was burglarized,
yeah.
and they stole the first, like pretty much the first shelf of CDs I had in this one CD rack that I had at the time.
Right.
And
Did it traumatize you?
it did a little bit. It made me very, very angry. It turned me into a very angry person. And it jaded me more than anything else. I wasn't home for it.
Right.
My roommate called me the next day. I was at my
Well, I'm
boyfriend's
glad
house.
you weren't home for it because it could have been. What if it could have been more serious?
Right, right.
So small favors there.
Yeah, he said, I think we were robbed. And I'm like, what do you mean you think we were robbed? He's like, well, do you have the TV? I'm like, nope, we were robbed.
And you never got your stuff back?
I got some of it back.
Oh, that's
I got
good.
my CDs. I got my CDs back. And you want to know how I did it?
How did you do that?
Because I was able to go to the used CD store on campus that the guy sold my CDs to with a list, a typewritten list of my CDs that I had already databased.
Right.
And I said, here's what they are. And I also had my name on them. I said, here's what's missing. And
Right.
he's looking at the list. He's like, these are all here.
Now,
And so,
did the store owner have a record of who sold in the CDs?
yeah, it was a black guy in his between like 18 and 25.
Okay.
Like, okay, thank you. That's everybody on campus.
Yeah. I was just saying,
Seriously.
that doesn't quite narrow it down.
If you're black and on Ohio State's campus, you're between 18 and 25.
Right.
That's it's like, I don't know. He was a white guy in an OSU t-shirt.
Yeah.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah.
That helps me. So yeah, we never figured out who did it. But it was an unplanned job because they stole some videotapes too. I never found out where those went.
Right.
But they also stole my and my roommate's backpacks so they could take all the stuff out. And I loved my backpack. I'd had it forever. It was fantastic. And the guy said, yeah, he was in here with this green backpack. I'm like, that was mine. I was so mad. But because I had this is another little background here. CD shops, used CD stores,
Yeah.
do not fall under pawn shop law,
Really?
which means they don't have to follow pawn shop law. They're also not protected by pawn shop law. So pawn shops, if they accept stolen merchandise under good faith, they don't necessarily get prosecuted for that.
Right.
But they do have to do things like return it and stuff like that. So
That's
what
interesting.
happened?
I never knew that.
Yeah, pawn shop law is there to protect pawn shops and to protect people
Right.
as well. So since CD stores don't fall under that, what happened is they said they had to charge me to get my CDs back.
Nice.
So I just wanted my CDs back, and when I got home, I called the police and I said, "Hey, they just charged me for what they knew was stolen merchandise." So knowingly selling stolen merchandise is against the law.
And the cop said, "Oh, so that they can nail them on."
That they can nail them on. So,
Okay. All right.
and I said I went down there and I presented proof that these were mine. They had my name on them, so they saw my ID. I had a list because I had it databased.
Right.
I was able to print out my database list and say, here's what was stolen. They're like, these are all here. And so the cop then calls me the next day and he says, you can go down there. They're going to write you a check. I said, okay. And he said, yeah, that guy was here for like an hour threatening us with jail. So ever since then, I've been very meticulous about keeping a record.
Yeah.
Of what I have. And also, this is a little bit shameful to admit this. But
Yeah.
I have a copy of this on my phone.
Just in case there's a fire.
No, it's because I have occasionally bought the same thing twice.
Ah. Okay.
I have not thought, oh, do I have this? I'm not sure. And if you find it at Half Price Books for a couple of bucks,
Right.
you're
So,
like,
so you consult now. Is it like in a linked Dropbox folder or something so that it's always current, or do you have to keep updating it?
It's not linked. I just manually move it to my phone
Okay.
every now and again. It's through numbers. I
Okay.
use it through numbers,
Okay.
and I manually update it because that's something that we do too. Is that I have a you can see here I have a pile of things on my table
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
things that have just been they either need to be databased or need to be shelved. So
Right.
once I've done some databasing, I move that over to the
I
but
totally respect that.
that paid off for me once. Like I said, I
Yep.
was able to get all of my CDs back, and there were like 60 of them that they stole,
Yep.
and I got them all back.
So just roughly, because I'm guessing the Excel wasn't working.
It's actually 2,763.
Oh wow,
That's
2,000. I was
that's
thinking,
CDs.
wow, that's just CDs, not actual vinyl albums and everything.
Vinyl albums is 359,
Wow, that's a serious vinyl collection. I'm
and
impressed.
singles, CD singles 316,
Oh, you index the singles separately from the albums. Nice.
45s 232 45s, and combined CDs, albums, and cassettes 70 Christmas albums.
Wow,
And then
that's
EPs
amazing.
on CD. I've got 106 EPs on CD and 11 EPs on vinyl.
And
And
how many singles?
just one.
Just one.
Just one.
I have
Yeah,
more.
the cassettes
I
are pretty
have
much
more singles than you do because I think I have about 7.
cool. I have 87 box sets,
Yep.
and I have 12 cassette albums still that I haven't gotten rid of.
Excellent. So,
So, including
yeah,
the Twin Peaks tapes of Agent Dale Cooper.
very nice. Yes,
Yeah.
I have those as well.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll be able to go through those.
Yes, that's true. So full albums,
Yeah.
around 300 and some, or 3,000 and some.
Okay.
If you combine the CDs and the vinyls of full like LP length things, yeah, it's about I think about 3,100.
So yeah, I think it's safe to say that Zan is a bit of an authority on when it comes to music.
Well, or either that or a hoarder, whichever one you want.
I was trying to be nice. No, I
appreciate it.
I was putting this positive spin on it. So
no, that's the thing is, and those of you out there who have seen Blade Runner 2049,
which is awesome,
which is amazing. If you have not seen it, go right now.
Yeah, because they could use the
seriously pause our podcast.
Yeah.
Go see it, and then listen to us on the drive home.
Exactly. So, because they could use the ticket sales. Go help them out. Support good science fiction movies.
It is the best film of 2017.
It is, as far as I'm concerned. It is so far. Anyway.
And I know The Last Jedi is coming out in December. It's still going to be the best film of 2017. Yeah. But I still collect physical media. Now I do have some. I haven't really done a good job with databasing the digital albums because I feel like they're database for you. You open up the drive and there they are.
Right. It's not as encouraging because it's already there. It's in your organized, pre-organized system.
Right.
So you kind of want to keep it separate from your actual system.
Exactly. And I try not to buy digital albums if I can help it.
Right.
I like having the inserts to read and things like that. And now Blade Runner, the soundtrack for Blade Runner 2049 is only available digitally, which I think is extremely ironic considering that part of the plot of Blade Runner is how there was a giant blackout that wiped out all the digital information.
Exactly.
So, can
I tell you my way around that?
What's that?
What I do when I get, especially if it's something like that's only available as an MP3 album, I burn it. And
we do that too, yeah.
And I create custom CD art.
Oh, so you make like your own mixtape covers? That's a great idea.
Yes, I do. So yeah.
Love it.
So yeah, like I have my own. It essentially, yeah. I try to do it like it's not the fanciest program, but it looks nice. And so, and then I print it off on a nice laser printer at work, and so the image looks great. But yeah, so like I'll like kind of like cut and paste a nice like sort of Photoshop type cover,
Nice.
and then I'll do like I'll list the song titles and who play this and who sings them and whatnot on the back as the back art.
Okay.
And then I've got something
That's
along
cool.
the sides so I can see what they are on the shelves along with my other CDs. So yeah.
Cool.
So
That's great.
that way I don't have to worry about if like hey, iTunes crashes
Hmm.
or whatever
Yeah.
and stuff gets lost. I've got it on CD and I can just re-upload it. So
I keep them all on a thumb drive. So they're not just in my cloud,
right,
because what basically I want to be able to listen to
right,
music or watch movies, even if the internet's out.
yeah,
So I still buy Blu-rays, I still buy DVDs, I still buy CDs, I still buy vinyl.
yep, I do too.
And
I think it's our generation that
yeah,
we're still
too.
attached to physical media because I think the millennials not so much.
Well, I think I may have mentioned this theory on the podcast before, but
Now, granted, they don't have as many space problems as we do.
no, they certainly don't. They get to live in tiny houses. We
Yeah,
can't.
exactly.
When I think about young people, imagine being, 21, 22 years old right now and trying to decide,
Ah, if only.
yeah, I know, right?
Yep.
And there's somebody you like
Uh-huh.
and you go over to their house. How do you know if you want to date them or not? If there's no book collection, record collection, or movie collection to judge them by?
That's a good question. Unless
You know?
unless you somehow can look at their like digital library.
Seriously, that's the thing. Like if I ever met
Yeah.
somebody on eHarmony
Well,
or OkCupid or something like that,
well, you can
I'd be like, okay,
like if they had Spotify or something, you could see what kind of
yeah,
playlists they come up with.
like what are your channels on Pandora or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that?
exactly that.
But it's like if I went out on a first date with somebody, I'd be like, okay, I'd be like the Terminator. I need your Kindle, your iPod, and your iPad, and your Amazon, and your Netflix list. I need to see what kind of things you watch and what you listen to.
Hilarious.
I would
Yeah.
need I would need to see all that stuff because, yeah, it's like when I first
Yeah,
came over to Chris's apartment and I was looking at the books he had and music he had. I was like, okay, this guy works. I can do this.
So we'll just file that one under millennial dating problems.
Yeah, I have. That's why they have to send each other pictures in their crotches because they have no music collection to look at and judge each other by.
Excellent. All right. So before anybody starts worrying about like, hey, when are you guys going to talk about the Twin Peaks albums?
We'll do it right now.
Yeah, we'll do it right now. But that was an awesome story, by the way. So
Thank you very much. So yeah, database your albums, kids. It might
yeah,
come in handy.
it might. Yeah. So that you bring up a great point for that. All right. So this Twin Peaks the music from the limited event series,
Mm-hmm.
yada yada yada. Um,
Yep.
so the first track off of this, obviously, is the Twin Peaks theme by Angelo Badalamenti.
Now let me tell you something about why I like that this is on here.
Yeah. Now this is a truncated version.
It is a truncated version. It's like the actual version you hear
Right.
on the show.
And it's shorter than the version that was in the opening credits of the original series because here in the 21st century we don't get proper opening credits hardly ever anymore.
That's true, but
Rarely. Rarely
I,
do. Yeah.
and that's the thing is that we're anxious to get to the show. There's
Right.
very few shows that have
Yeah.
that sort of Twin Peaks, Game of Thrones, Mad Men.
Right. But at least we get 90 seconds of it to listen to.
Exactly. But what I like about that is
Yeah.
when I was a kid and you didn't have a lot of money,
Mhm.
not that any kids are going to be buying these soundtracks or anything like that, but
Yes.
you didn't have a lot of money and movies you liked, they would sometimes put out a soundtrack and a score.
Yes.
Just like this. This is a soundtrack and a score.
Right.
And again, I have to drink something.
That's okay. I am too.
I spent my entire day talking. I ran a focus group, so
Oh, okay.
I'm parched. And so you're a kid and you kind of want both, but like there's a song on one you really want and a song on the other one that you really want. And it's at least with this, no matter what you do, you get the opening theme, which I
Right.
think is nice.
Right. Well, and I like the way they did that because on the score, and we'll talk about that later. Um, it has the full like 5 minute version.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
which is awesome.
I'm
So you
gonna,
get that way you can, if you want the short version, like for a nice ringtone or something,
hmm
you've got it.
it's right there.
And if you want the full version, which I was glad because, hey, now I have a more remastered version of this that I can upload to my library,
Yeah, that's
my
true.
MP3 library, and I have a little better quality sound
Hmm.
than the original soundtrack version. So,
So yeah, so I like that. And you know what surprised me though? I was almost thinking when I saw that this was on here,
yeah.
I was thinking that it should have been falling, like
Oh,
actually falling.
right.
I think that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, because the
With the lyrics.
yeah, right, the Julee Cruise
Right.
falling.
Lyrics. Yes.
So vocals,
Yes. The vocals. Yeah, I should
yes.
say. I don't know why I said lyrics. You're right. The vocals. Thank you for correcting me.
You're most welcome.
This is why
Um,
you're the expert and I'm not.
this is why I'm the recovering music snob,
That's okay.
and you're not.
That's all right. You put me in my place. I'm cool with that.
So there's a that's another thing too when somebody talks about something being a cappella that
Yeah.
has no music, it drives me crazy. Like, no, it has music, it doesn't have instruments.
Exactly. It's
But I
just
thought that would be cool because there's the songs with vocals and then there's the score.
right.
I was surprised, however, that that David Lynch remix of American Woman is considered score
Yeah. Well,
rather than
it does have vocals in it.
it does have vocals, right? But it's
So
considered score,
right.
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I know. It is kind of weird, but I think it's because it's so electronically distorted by slowing it down that the vocals are pretty much unintelligible
Right, right.
for the most part. Yeah, it is an interesting choice, but I think the decision to do that actually freed up more space on the soundtrack
It did.
for another band, what have you. So I was
Yes.
okay with that.
No, I was fine. I was fine with it. I just
Yeah,
was
yeah, it is an
kind of
interesting.
surprised.
It is
I was expecting.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's like there's some stuff that's what we're talking about. There's some stuff that's missing off of the soundtrack. Like there's a couple of songs by this band called Uniform,
Hmm.
which are these like very heavy metal type songs, Habit and Tabloid. They were in part 5, and then those are the songs that were playing in that car that was driving up and down Dougie Street, if you
Right.
remember.
Hmm.
And so that was that. And then there was another Au revoir Simone track in
Hmm.
part 9, a violent yet
There were two of
flammable,
those.
yeah,
Mm.
violent yet flammable world. That was the second track of theirs. And then, of course, there's Red River Valley by Harry Dean Stanton,
That
which
is the most egregious
I totally agree.
omission on this thing.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that
So
that at the very least that track should have been on this.
that should have absolutely been on here.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure if there's because Harry Dean Stanton has stuff like that.
right.
Albums, and maybe they're planning on putting that somewhere.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but
Maybe, yeah, maybe he just didn't want to. He didn't want that music on this soundtrack. I don't know. Who knows? But
I'm not 100% sure,
yeah,
but
but yeah, it was definitely missed. So
yeah, it was definitely missed.
yeah, and it would have been nice to
But you
have.
can always,
It would have been nice to have like the full version
hmm
because it does get kind of interrupted. So I don't know if you could have like recorded a full version of it.
yeah, exactly. So, but we always have partly fiction if you want to
Exactly,
go out and listen to yourself. So,
or hey, just go on YouTube and kind of rip the video and turn it into an MP3 and
you can always
you
grab
can
the
have,
audio.
exactly.
Thing. Yeah.
We have the technology these days
Hmm.
to do that.
We can rebuild
To
it.
correct these errors in judgment. Um, So the first new song on this is Shadow, and this is by the Chromatics.
Hmm.
And this track, now this is the track that was at the end of part two. So it was at the end of the two-part premiere when we first got our experience of the return, and I just love this track because I thought it
This
was
is
the
my favorite.
I thought it is my favorite too. I thought it was the perfect way to end that premiere episode, and it does feel it seems to me like the closest um, of all these Roadhouse bands to Julee Cruise to me.
I think so too. I think um,
This
the
song,
second
this song
closest would
particularly,
be this song in particular. I think the second closest in feel would probably be Au revoir Simone.
right?
But yeah, the Chromatics. This I had not heard of them before Twin Peaks, and they're not one of my new favorite things.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're out of Portland, and I just think they're wonderful. They're retro enough, but not cheesy or kitschy about it.
Right.
And
So they're your new like favorite hip band that you've discovered because of this show.
I would see now that's part of the recovering music snob thing. When you're a recovering music snob, you have to fess up to the fact that
Yeah.
you weren't into the Chromatics before they were cool. You learned about them through Twin Peaks, and you just have
Right.
to say, "Hey, look, at least I know
Yeah.
them now, and at least I'm happy, and at least I'm listening to them."
Well, and I don't think it's a shame, like it's a bad thing to say, "Oh, hey, Twin Peaks turned me on to this great band."
No, I don't think so either. I don't
And
think
then,
so either. But like
and
I
then,
said, in the music snob world,
yeah.
um,
I mean, there's a few
that's
few bands on here I never heard of
mhm,
that I'm just like, oh, I would like to hear more of their stuff. And so,
exactly. And you can be a music snob all you want to,
right,
but you know what the band's gonna say about that?
yeah,
Hey, great, more people listening to my music. That's fantastic.
exactly. So if nothing else, this is David Lynch, and Lynch is pretty good at this. He's got a pretty good ear for music, in case you haven't figured
Oh
it
yeah,
out.
oh yeah.
So it's not like he's lacking in musical taste.
No,
And
he's not.
so, yeah, if nothing else, he's giving these bands great exposure.
Oh yeah, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I remember, like I said, in the music snob world, everybody gets pissed off when their favorite band gets popular.
Right.
I'm
Because,
like, oh yeah, God
yeah,
forbid they have to stop waiting tables and driving themselves to
yeah.
concerts in a broken down van all the time.
God forbid people like actually know what you're talking about when you reference that band or that song
Seriously,
or that
yeah,
song.
God forbid they start making money
Yeah.
or get new fans,
Yeah.
and they,
Yeah.
and somebody
And
else
get
listens to
big.
them except
Right.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
So I remember like, it's kind of like when with U2 back in the day, because I was old enough to like
Oh,
I watched, like when MTV first debuted in 81
yeah.
and U2 was in heavy rotation and nobody, like they would play like New Year's Day all the time,
Mm-hmm.
from and nobody really knew who U2 was until MTV.
Well, nobody in the United States, that's for
Nobody,
sure.
yeah, exactly. Nobody. I'll qualify that. Yes, nobody in the United States really got hip to that band
Mm-hmm.
because obviously this is before the interwebs.
Before the interwebs.
So and so like I latched on to YouTube pretty quickly because of that,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was kind of cool to like watch them become this big huge band. And then when the Joshua Tree album hit,
Uh-huh.
and they went superstar,
Oh yeah.
then so that was kind of nice. But then of course everybody's like, well, they're not as good as they used to be and stuff like that. And I'm just like,
Even though the Joshua Tree is like one of the greatest albums of all time,
exactly,
you know.
right,
That's the funny thing too, because when I was in high school was when Octung Baby came out.
mm,
And Octung Baby is what really
right,
made U2 mainstream. Like
yeah,
that's when like the jocks and the cheerleaders started listening to U2.
right, because they totally reinvented their sound.
And we were not even that, they just that album was a freaking juggernaut. It was everywhere.
Yeah,
So here are all these people that used to make fun of us freaks liking our bands. We're like, screw you, you don't deserve U2. You don't even know. Same thing
we
happened
were
with REM.
there. Yeah.
We were there like back in the Unforgettable
Yeah,
Fire, man.
yeah, exactly. We were watching the Red Rocks videos.
Yeah, Exactly. Like, do you know the song "Ain't Cat Do"? I don't think you did,
Yeah.
but same thing happened with REM. You know, out of time hits were like, oh,
Yeah.
where have you been since Document? That's when I liked them. You know, stuff
Yep.
like that.
Right.
And REM is Chris's favorite band, and he'll tell you that there are people on their web, their groups that say that they sold out after um
Great.
Chronic Town, and you're like, oh my god, shut your mouth.
Ugh.
Like, just shut up.
Ugh.
So yeah, but yeah, this track was there are some bands, some recent bands where they have female vocalists with these sort of, you know, higher, breathier, ethereal type voices.
Well, I think
Yeah.
in this case, I think it's like dream pop.
Dream pop is exactly
And
right.
that's I know this because like being a Julee Cruise fan, that
Mhm.
that's the kind of the way they described her music,
Right.
and I think
Right.
Shadow pretty much falls into that same category,
Very much does. It's sort of,
and that's why I like it so much. I think.
yeah, I love it. I love it. I love the vocals. I love the keyboard and just how it
Yeah,
just sort of, and the
and
backbeat to it. And
yeah, and of course they just kind of at the end of that episode, just seems to hit it was just seemed like the perfect way. I don't know. It just complemented what was on the screen. And just
hmm
like you got this big sensory overload from like the first Twin Peaks experience in 25 years plus,
hmm yeah.
and then you had this kind of dreamy send off to that, and it just really clicked for me.
hmm And and also,
Yeah,
um it was one of those tracks where, like, as soon as the episode was over, I was upstairs on iTunes trying to buy this song,
yeah,
or just I wanted just this song to, like, because I know you and I both were sort of starting our own makeshift Twin Peaks soundtrack
yeah, yeah.
as the
Because
show was going
because
along.
and I've talked about that in previous episodes that I was compiling my Twin Peaks: The Return soundtrack. After hearing this, I'm just like, okay, I have to start
hmm
getting this stuff and just make my own album and to tide me over because this music is so good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm liking the music so much.
Yeah.
So
But now,
yeah,
obviously, we've got the actual albums, even better.
right. So we've got our own makeshift
Yeah.
ones, and now we have the actual album.
But
So look at,
I played Shadow because I burned an MP3 to tide me over until the
hmm
album came out. So yes, I bought the album. Okay, so I've got actually purchased the song, but to tide me over until that album came out, I had an MP3 and I just listened to it over and over and over again.
me too. Like I was a little kid again,
I was
just
just like
play it repeat.
I was hypnotized by this song.
Yeah, it was
So
wonderful. This
it was
is
great.
great.
All right. So the next track is Mississippi. Mississippi, and by the Cactus Blossoms. This is another band I'd never heard of, but I really dug because it's like this whole Everly Brothers vibe they've got going on.
They are totally an Everly Brothers kind of vibe, which, if you are unfamiliar with the Everly Brothers, you need to get familiar with them right now because they are
Yeah,
fantastic.
exactly. Just because it was in the 50s doesn't mean it's not good.
60s.
Well, I thought they were 50s and 60s.
That's a really good question.
I thought it was like late 50s maybe, but I could be wrong.
Like, if
I
it
could,
was if it was late 50s, it was very
yeah,
late 50s.
yeah. I'm thinking like Bye Bye
Oh,
Love and all that. So, but but
right.
yeah. So these are these guys named Jack Torrey and Paige Burkham, and this was the song that played at the end of part 3, and it's at this point that we're kind of like
You're
realizing.
right. Bye Bye Love was 1958. You're right. It was
Yes,
very late
yes,
50s. Good
yes,
job.
yes.
Good job.
I'll take my victories where I can because
Take the win, man. Take the
I'm
win.
sure you're gonna smoke me and everything else. So
Oh no, not necessarily.
you are. It's okay. But at least I got that right. Yes. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's at this point because we're realizing, are they gonna do a new band at the end of every Twin Peaks episode? And sure enough,
Yes,
they
they
pretty
are.
much they did. So yeah.
Yep.
They pretty much did. Um, so yeah, so it was just, and it just seemed weird at this point because it's like, okay, is Lynch just gonna like, are we doing Roadhouse scenes just to showcase these bands? Like is
Part
just
people think
Lynch
that too.
Lynch indulging himself like, hey, these are bands I really dig, and I have no idea how to really work them into the story, so we're just gonna tack it on at the end.
Well, and I kind of like that sort of formula
Yeah,
of every week we wind up at the Roadhouse,
right.
and then we thought for a while that if we see the Roadhouse, we know the episode is over.
Yeah,
That's not necessarily true. There are some weeks we didn't get a Roadhouse.
right. Or they got the Roadhouse before the credits.
We get the
Like they was a little earlier in the episode.
Right. It was a little early in the episode, and then we see the double R, and someone pop in. Whereas, has anyone seen Billy?
Yeah.
Or we see Big Ed eating noodle soup.
Or we have like all these randos that show up and have a scene in one of the booths for no,
Yeah.
and we don't see them ever again in another episode.
Hmm.
And so you're
Exactly.
like
Sure.
armpit scratching girl. What happened to her?
Armpit scratching girl. Yeah. Where is she?
Hopefully she went to the dermatologist or something.
There is a drug problem in Twin Peaks. That's all I'm saying.
Get some like hydrocortisone or something. Clear that
Gotta
up.
get ocean
Exactly.
calamine lotion.
Yep. You'll be scratching like a hound. All right,
Or
sorry.
did I?
Yep.
That's another thing I do.
Yeah.
I do like about David Lynch and his tastes in general.
Yeah.
He's very retro mid-century in his style and his music.
He loves 50s music.
Hmm.
Yeah, but like he'll take these songs like I first got into that part from Blue Velvet because obviously with the In Dreams I Walk with You and all this, the Orbison classic.
Hmm.
So and that's why I really like noticed that like he really loves that period of music, and we kind of get that
Yeah.
here. The 50s and 60s seem to be his era, which makes sense because he's older. That's the
Right.
music
It's almost like,
he's sharing
that's
the
his
music that
growing
he
up
loved.
time.
Yeah,
Right.
that he grew up with.
It's like
And
us liking 80s music,
yes, yeah,
like 70s and 80s music. That's our time.
yeah. So now you
Sure.
can, yeah. Everybody else younger than us can go. Well, you guys like that really old music, huh?
That
Yes,
really old stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
But yeah, I dug the Cactus Blossoms. I thought they were very cool. Now, obviously, it has a very country and western type feel to it a little bit,
Hmm.
and not a bad thing. It's just kind of unusual, but I thought it worked.
I think it does work because there was like you said, because it has that Everly Brothers feel.
Right.
So it fits in with that whole sort of style of Twin Peaks of being
The retro feel to it.
the retro feel, being sort of trapped in time. I think I mentioned this early on in the podcast that we did about the pilot,
Yes.
that when Twin Peaks premiered, I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school, but I was in high school, and they of course were seniors. But I just remember thinking, like, I don't know anybody that dresses like this. They had
Yeah.
these sort of 50s outfits. All the girls wore the skirts and things like
Right.
that. So it was a very different style. And I just remember that really stood out to me when I was a kid, because I was in high school. I'm like, we don't dress like this. What is this stuff? And that's just David Lynch's style.
Yeah. I
You know,
agree.
like, I think I mentioned it when we were talking about the final episode. Like, everything in that motel, every piece of furniture I wanted,
Yeah.
that was in that motel.
Everybody was dressed nice. People like guys smoked,
Hmm.
and just yeah,
Yep.
or you had everybody like drank coffee in diners and whatnot. So yeah, just
Hmm.
that whole
Exactly.
that whole period he just loves to um display to showcase that period. It just means obviously
Oh yeah.
it means so much to him. So yeah, and he just wants to share that
Exactly. It's just
share
it's
that.
just his style. Yeah,
Yeah,
even when you look at things like Lost Highway,
right.
their house in Lost Highway, which was David Lynch's house,
Yeah,
um, with all of the mid-century furniture and styling, and
yeah,
So it's very much very
Him.
much his.
It's
Yeah, it's
him.
very much him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Okay. So the next track, Lark by Au revoir Simone.
mhm.
You mentioned this one that you
Another
thought
sort
like a
of female
dreamy type.
vocalist.
Yeah. Yeah, this one I don't think, I mean, I like this one. I don't, but it didn't as grab me as much obviously as Chromatics Shadow, but this one I thought was
It
okay.
didn't grab me as much. It's a little, poppier and jauntier with the keyboard, and
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
it just didn't really stick in my head as memorable. It was, but I didn't hate this one.
no, I liked it, but it wasn't one that I, ran to
Yeah.
buy or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly.
Nothing wrong with them. They're a fine band.
Yeah.
I love their name. The
Yeah.
name of the band is a reference to Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Uh,
Right. Which is
for
nice.
those of you
Yes.
who have not seen Pee Wee's Big Adventure, Pee Wee Herman is basically hitchhiking across the country to find his missing bike, and he winds up in this truck stop. And he eats a tuna platter and milkshake, but he realizes then that someone has stolen his wallet, so he has to do dishes to pay for his meal.
Yeah.
And the person who's working that night is a woman named Simone, and has this dream to go see Paris
Right.
someday. And
Oh, and he says the line, "Au revoir, Simone."
so she teaches him,
Yeah. French.
I forget what she says. She's going to say goodbye to him, but then she says, "J'ai du difficulté à dire au revoir." And he says, "What?" And she says, "I have trouble saying goodbye." So that's why she says au revoir, because
Yeah,
she doesn't have to say goodbye.
right, because that's essentially until we meet again,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to goodbye.
Right. And so they're saying she's like, "Au revoir, Pee Wee, au revoir, Simone." So
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
where their name comes from, which I think, that's, if you're going to reference Pee Wee Herman, you're working your way into my heart there.
Yeah,
So
and that's very obscure reference to that movie
to you.
well, okay, yes, to me, okay, admit, admittedly, but there's so many better references in my opinion that you could have used for that from that movie.
Name one.
Let's see.
What are they going to call themselves? Large Marge? There's more than one of them.
That's true. That's true.
There's I haven't been there in a while, so I don't know if they still have the drink there, but there's a restaurant here in Columbus called Dirty Frank's. It's a hot dog.
Right.
It's Dirty Frank's Hot Dog Palace.
Right.
And it's pretty much a bar that serves really good hot dogs. And they had a drink for a while. It was a red slushy based drink, and it was called a Madame Ruby.
Oh.
Just again a
Yes.
reference from Pee Wee's Big
Yes.
Adventure. And I was there one night. There was the person who was waiting on me was very young, and he said, "What can you get to drink?" And I said, "I will see what Madame Ruby sees," which is, a paraphrase of the quote in that movie. And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "I just want to give what." That should be part of your training, that you see all the movies that are referenced in this menu. Like, there's all kinds of references. Like, they have a drink there called the Buckaroo Banzai,
Nice.
which I love, of course.
Right. We're both
Like,
big Buckaroo Banzai fans.
You should have to see the movies that your drinks are referencing. That should be
That's the law.
Yes.
That's
But
the
no,
law.
I did like Au revoir, Simone, because of I was wondering if that's where they got that from, and then when I looked up their band, I was like, okay, there we go.
Yep.
They're also very keyboard heavy, and anybody who likes to drag out the old Casio,
Yep.
that old little Casio, I forget what number it was. I freaking had one of those, and I sold it at a garage sale, and I wish I still had it because it was so awesome.
Yep.
Like, even to this day, when I hear people use it in music, I'm like, I had that thing. Why did I get rid of it? What's wrong with me?
My dad still has one, I think,
Nice.
from back in the day. So we got to get you this.
Awesome.
I'll give you his. So next track, I am. So I'm a good man. That's obviously the Ike the Spike theme from Blunted Beats.
Ike the Spike, yes.
So this is part 5, and
Mhm.
this one, I mean, it's such a weird little number, but I dig it. I think
Yes.
I think especially because of Ike the Spike that I
It's
dig
definitely
that.
because of Ike the Spike. He was
Yeah.
such a crazy character.
Yeah, and
you know?
it was just such a weird song to match with this guy, this dwarf that's running around or like, this little
Hmm.
person going around like jabbing people with an ice pick, and just it, wa-
To the point where he bends the ice pick
yeah,
into a 90-degree
yeah,
angle.
yeah. And,
I didn't
and
know.
and it plays during the scene where like he's running amok in this office, and like he's
Hmm.
killing somebody, and then somebody else is screaming down the hall, and then he takes off after that person.
He just goes for it.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like
This is
Fry having had
yeah,
too much coffee.
right, exactly. So he's just like this little tornado running through this office and killing people, and it's just
Yeah,
it's
it's like a Tasmanian devil, just
exactly
just everywhere.
that's what I was thinking of. Yes,
Some
Tasmanian
sort of,
Devil's
or like I
perfect.
said, like Fry when he's had too
This
much coffee.
whirling dervish, yeah, yeah,
Yep,
pretty much. So yeah,
he's
this
crazy. Yeah, this is a hip hop band out of Hamburg
yeah,
or Hamburg, excuse me,
yes, Hamburg,
and Hamburg.
Hamburg.
But
Yeah,
again, no one I'd ever heard of. But yeah, this is a really fun track.
yeah, this is a
It's
fun track, and I'm sorry, you
this
can't
is
listen
blunted. This is blunted beats.
right, and
Blunted
especially
beats with a Z.
like after listening to Au revoir Simone, when this track comes on the soundtrack,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I can't help but smile when it comes on.
Well, yeah,
It just
absolutely,
it's just so goofy that it makes you smile. So I
and
like it.
that's the kind of thing that is so fascinating about directors like David Lynch who
Right.
can do that, who can
And you would
have a
never
song that reminds you of a murderer and it makes you smile.
right. Well, and you would never have expected David Lynch to pull out like a hip hop style song as part of his soundtrack.
Yeah, that's the thing though. I mean, he is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, he is. So, but
So you never know what
just another
to expect with the David Lynch.
yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Next track, the 1961 classic, "I Love How You Love Me" by the
Yes,
by the
Paris.
Pair Sisters, better known as the Becky Burnett, uh, or no, I'm sorry, Becky, not Becky Burnett, Becky Briggs.
She's Becky Burnett.
Be- Becky.
No, she's
Oh, that's right. So yeah, because she was married to Steven. That's right.
she was married to Stephen Burnett.
Yeah, you're
Yes,
right. So Becky Burnett.
exactly.
Okay. Thank you. That yeah. So this is by the Paris Sisters, and obviously this is where Becky is getting high in Steven's car and just kind of dreamily staring up at the sky.
Yes, in his convertible, just sort of dreamingly staring up into the sky, and just makes you want to cry for her.
Yeah. I mean, because we feel these echoes of of that downward spiral of Laura Palmer and her drug use all over again.
You can almost see that happening, and
Right.
just oh,
Yeah. But very memorable
right.
track in my opinion, and another obscure like you know retro track that David Lynch pulled out of nowhere. Like it's one of those
Hmm.
I'd heard before, but obviously it's like no, you hear it here on Twin Peaks, and it has a totally different context.
Hmm. Twin Peaks definitely puts its stamp on whatever it touches.
It does.
And but yeah, this one is
So
a
so now like if I ever hear this song in another TV show or movie, obviously I'm going to think of Twin Peaks more than anything.
hmm
Hearing this
hmm
song.
yeah, this one was a Phil Spector too.
Oh,
So
was it?
yeah, yeah, it was.
I didn't realize, but yeah,
So
that makes sense.
but yeah, so
It does seem like Phil Spector's type stuff.
I'm looking around. I'm looking around I'm in my music room and I'm
Yes.
looking around, and I was just reminded of something when you talked about um David Lynch and the hip hop.
Yeah.
He was on Danger Mouse and the late Sparkle Horses Dark Night of the Soul project.
Oh,
So
wow. That's cool. I did not know
oh
that.
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
That's
I looked
awesome.
over, saw the record. I'm like, oh yeah, David Lynch was
Uh-huh.
on that.
Yep.
So
That's cool.
David Lynch finds himself in some places.
Yeah, he turns up where you least expect him.
Yeah, and he sometimes has some interesting things on his own solo records.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to David Lynch's solo records, I recommend it. They're very interesting.
Well,
Um,
obviously.
yeah, yeah. David Lynch.
It's from David Lynch. How is it not going to be interesting?
How is that going to be interesting? Yeah,
It may
that's the
not be your
thing.
cup of tea, but it's going to be interesting at least.
Exactly. You're going to be, huh? You're going to think about it when you listen to it.
Exactly.
But yeah, it doesn't necessarily fit with his, like you said, mid-century 50s and 60s kind of small town,
Yeah.
Twin Peaksy, Blue Velvety kind of style. But he has his moments. He has his hip hoppy moments.
Yep.
So
Well,
I was looking up,
maybe he's just broadening his horizons a little bit.
as well you should, as we all should.
Exactly, totally agree.
I was looking up. David Lynch grew up because Blue Velvet was on TV this
Yeah.
weekend,
Ah.
and I of course watched it. God, everybody looks young in
I
that.
wish I had known. I would have liked to have watched it. I haven't watched that for a while.
I hadn't seen it.
I have it on DVD, but yeah.
There's just something about having something just come on television that's fun.
Right. You stumble across it and you're just like, oh, I guess I'm in the mood to watch this now.
Exactly. And I was thinking, and we were watching it, and Chris is like, "This is kind of the precursor for Twin Peaks, isn't it?" I'm like, "Totally."
Yeah.
It totally. He went there after this, but
it's like the inspiration, I think. Yeah.
I was looking up to see how large Missoula, Montana is, which is where David Lynch is from.
Right.
And in 2016, it was 72,000.
To Missoula, Montana. Yeah.
In 2016, the population was 72,364.
Yes.
So I can only imagine what it was like in the 50s and 60s. Right. Probably wasn't huge.
No.
So,
well, especially being in Montana, yeah, I would think. Yeah,
Montana can only get so big. You can only build so many cities that go into the mountains.
It's probably that small town vibe that permeates Twin Peaks, at least the original series.
It's probably it's that sort of. You always know that
everybody knows each other. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You always know the David Lynch universe is going to have some sort of small town, wholesome, seedy underbelly.
Yeah, exactly.
So
God only knows what he grew up with. That he's never told anybody.
Did he find an ear?
You had to figure something happened, considering how how he turned out. Something had to have happened.
Yep. Or maybe he just, read a lot of crazy stuff.
Maybe. Who knows?
Small town.
Or, did a lot of drugs. Who knows? But next track is Snake Eyes by this band called Trouble. And this band is notable simply because, oh, hey, David Lynch's kid Riley's in it.
Yeah, that's
Riley Lynch.
That's a little bit of a
nepotism there going on.
Well, it could be worse.
But this track, I like this track. It definitely has that Roadhouse vibe to it, and like where obviously there could be, yes, you guessed it, trouble at any moment.
Yep.
So
and that's the Roadhouse,
and it works out perfectly. Yeah. So I didn't have trouble with that. So I kind of liked it.
You didn't have trouble with.
I didn't have trouble with trouble. Yes, exactly.
No.
No trouble at all.
No trouble at all with trouble.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job, and it's always nice to see the children of people whose work you enjoy doing work you enjoy.
Yeah.
And
obviously he's not the first child of Lynch's to be involved with Twin Peaks, because his son Austin was the magic kid in Fire Walk with Me.
Yep, and his daughter Jennifer did the diary.
Yeah, the Laura Palmer's diary. So yeah, just getting it's a family affair.
It is a family affair. That is true.
Exactly.
That song, however, is not on the soundtrack.
And no Mr. French either. But
Yeah, no Mr. French.
That's a really old reference.
That's a really old.
That's old for my generation reference. So let's put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Like if you didn't get that one, that's okay. I'll let that one slide. Next track is Tarifa, which is a Roadhouse mix of this song by Sharon Van Etten. So, any thoughts about this one?
I didn't know much about her, but I did like this song quite a bit. I liked her voice quite a bit.
Yeah. This one I thought was good.
Yeah.
But this is at the end of part 6, and I'm trying to think. There wasn't any really like lyrics from the song that stood out in my mind.
No,
But go ahead.
It just was, it was good. It was good bar music, basically.
Yeah.
And female singer songwriter, decent, decent Roadhouse song, like you would expect her to,
right.
Be playing at the Roadhouse. She's very She's very sort of like, folky, older instrument kind of people. Like she plays the harmonium and stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
So
Kind of like the person that, if you went to a bar at college,
kind of,
that
yeah,
type of
yeah,
person, that
not
type
a
of
bar,
person
a coffee house.
a coffee house, thank you. Yes, that's even
Yeah.
better. Yeah, a coffee house at college. Yeah, that type of person would be playing. You're absolutely right.
Hmm.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. Next track. She's Gone Away by the Nine Inch Nails,
By the Nine Inch Nails, yes.
which is so. This was the big song in part eight. Yes, that part eight, the big episode, part eight. Um,
Hmm.
and this is the song that right before um, we go into this big um, surreal sequence of, hey, an atomic bomb explosion.
Hmm. Yes,
Um,
this one we got beforehand because
yeah,
that episode could not end on a roadhouse. It
no,
well,
no.
it ended crazily, but
Yeah,
but not
yeah.
a
Well,
road.
it ended with the next song, like with the next song we'll talk about. But this song, yeah. So you got Trent Reznor, the Nine Inch Nails, obviously very big into the industrial, and
Hmm.
which of course is totally in David Lynch's wheelhouse. And so
Well, and also
these two
not
are
not his first rodeo with the David Lynch.
no, because yet you're holding up the Lost Highway soundtrack,
That I am
which
holding up
I
the last
don't
time.
have, and I'm very jealous that you do. So I need that
Oh
soundtrack.
yeah. Not only do I have this,
Yes.
this was the promo copy from when I worked at Media Play, so this was free. I know, right?
Jaw dropped.
Exactly.
Envy, envy.
Yep.
That's awesome. So does it have like extra tracks on it?
No,
Oh, okay,
no,
I didn't have
just the
to.
regular. Yeah, but yeah, Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails had songs on this,
So
and
it says not for resale, presumably.
it does not. Yeah, it does. You can't really see it very well because it's like black on black, but
Yeah,
yes, it's
yeah.
not for resale,
Okay, got it.
and it has a little hole
Yep.
chopped out of the.
And it's got the perfect drug on it.
Yes, it does.
The
Yeah,
perfect
he
drug. The perfect drug.
he produced this record as well,
Yeah.
and this was the first time I ever heard of Rammstein too. Was the
Oh, yeah.
soundtrack. So
Du, du hast sneaks. Sorry. Sorry.
yeah, they got popular for about 5 minutes with that song.
Yeah. So that was obviously a big song, especially right after the sequence where um, Cooper's doppelganger is shot by Ray and left for dead, and then the woodsmen show
Hmm.
up and give him that big bloody body massage,
Seriously, they give him the
and they pull Bob
Garfield
out of him.
treatment.
Yes.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, exactly. So that was just, that was a big episode, regardless, and then to have a band like Nine Inch Nails playing it, which made it even more special.
Hmm.
Uh,
And I still think that Trent Reznor was like, okay, David, I don't care what you do, get me on your show.
I have to think that. Yeah.
I need to be in Twin Peaks. God
Yes.
damn it!
You let me be a part of Lost Highway. You gotta let me in Twin Peaks. I
Seriously,
have to think that Trent called in as many favors as he could to make
all
that
the
happen.
favors
All of
anywhere ever. Yes.
pretty much, pretty much. So yeah, that's right up. So I thought that was great. Um, Next track is also from part 8 and also from part 18, the final episode,
Hmm.
which is My Prayer by the Platters.
Yes, My Prayer by the Platters, which is an excellent old song
Yeah, from
featuring.
1956. So
Yep.
again, that period.
50s. Yep.
Yep.
And one of the interesting things about the Platters,
Yes.
they have a vocalist in that group. It's a doo-wop group, so it's all vocalists.
Right.
One of their vocalists is named David Lynch.
Really, but not the
Yeah.
David.
No, it's
No,
not the David Lynch,
obviously,
just
obviously.
just
But
that's his.
that's a weird coincidence. I didn't know that.
Yeah, isn't that bizarre
That
that one of the
is.
Platters is named David Lynch? I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, this one is a. I'm actually quite the huge doo-wop fan myself.
And I, as am I, because like I love '50s music. That was the music that I listened to as a kid, not just because like I'm that old. I'm not that old,
No, no, no.
really,
But
really. But when you're a kid, um, you know, it was a lot of the stuff that you watch kind of had that music, or at least like it was geared more toward kids because it was very innocent type music. So
well, and there
you
was a lot of stuff that was 50s related when we were kids too, like Happy Days and
right, because you would
stuff like
watch
that.
reruns and stuff. Yeah, because you would listen to like
Happy Days, or
rock around the clock when they had
yeah,
the original
or
Happy Days and reruns.
or like Sha-Na-Na. Remember Sha-Na-Na?
Yeah, exactly. So
You know, it was
which
this.
is a take on a 50s doo-wop group.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my favorite movies is Phantom of the Paradise.
Right.
And there's a character in Phantom of the Paradise. His name is Swan, and he's sort of the god of music, but he's actually the devil. And he's played by Paul Williams, and he's fabulous. And one of the things that this movie takes place in the early 70s, and one of the things that they're crediting him with is the revival sound movement. And there was a thing in like the 70s that, there was like a 50s revival. You know
Yeah.
how everything comes back every 20 years?
Right. Right.
And that was going on when we were kids. Like I said,
Yeah.
with Happy Days and Sha-Na-Na and Grease,
Yep.
stuff
There
like
you go.
that.
That's a good.
That was all big
That's a
stuff
great
when
one.
we were kids. So,
Yep.
and when you're an only child,
As I am,
as I am,
as you are.
you listen to what your parents are listening to.
Right.
And our parents were kids in the 50s.
Yeah.
So,
So you heard a lot of this stuff growing up.
you heard a
Yeah.
lot of that kind of stuff growing up. Yeah, and doo-wop is something that I definitely do share with my dad, that we both like doo-wop. And so I've always really liked this song, but I did not know or remember that one of the guys in the group was named David Lynch. I was like,
Yeah. That is
that's
great.
hilarious.
Yeah. I first got into the Platters after the X-Files because there's this episode called Kill Switch that had the song Twilight Time featured
Twilight
in
Time
it.
is a great song.
And Twilight, and what's great about the Platters is their music, because it's from the '50s, from a more innocent time. It translates really well to dark stuff,
Yeah,
and which it
yeah.
did in the X-Files, because the song Twilight Time became very creepy.
I'm not remembering this episode. Tell me what this episode was about.
Oh, shoot! This was there was it was like an AI episode where like it was one of those, like, I think it was written by that cyberpunk author William Gibson,
Okay.
and it was like like there was this AI, and it was killing people, and one of the tracks was like you would hear this music playing. For whatever reason, it was using the song Twilight Time. So it just got referenced a lot in the episode. I can't remember.
Okay.
It's been a while since I watched that episode, but I generally remember that's what it was about. But it's a very cool episode.
Okay, I'll have to look for
So
it.
check it. Yeah, it's called Kill
Yeah.
Switch. That I remember. So
Right.
check that one out. And it's great because the Platters music is in that, and it's got this creepy vibe, this innocent song with a very dark tone to it, and obviously this is what David Lynch does here, because obviously My Prayer is used in the part 8 sequence where the woodsmen come into this radio station in the 50s and kill the employees and take over the microphone, to say, this is
This
the
is the
water
water,
and
and
this is the
this is the
well.
well.
Yeah.
Drink long and descend.
Drink deep and descend.
Drink deep
Yeah.
and descend. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Um, but yeah, the Platters also are the
so you
great.
have this. So again, you have this innocent song used for
Mhm.
horrific dark purposes.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the Platters also did The Great Pretender, which is
Yes.
one of my favorite songs. And
Oh yes, I'm the great pretender. Yes.
ooh, ooh, pretending I'm doing well.
Very nice. Yes.
which is one of the greatest covers of all time done by Freddie Mercury.
I did not
That,
know he did a cover of that.
oh my God, YouTube that
That's
when we're done here.
yeah, I'll have to YouTube
Oh
that.
man, it's fantastic. It's
Oh
fantastic.
wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
You know, Freddie Mercury has
Yeah,
one of the best voices in rock and roll history. So
obviously, obviously, at
yeah.
least definitely one of the most powerful voices in rock and roll history.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe
Unfortunately, though,
him
for
and Robert
us,
Plant. Yeah,
and I hate to say it,
yeah.
but Steve Perry.
Yep, Steve Perry. Oh,
Steve,
my wife is a huge Journey fan.
yeah.
So, yeah, so
Um,
but yeah, Journey I didn't like them when I was growing up, but I kind
oh,
of dig
shut
them
up.
more
We all
now.
love Journey. We don't want to admit it, but
No,
we all
I didn't. No, I didn't like Journey
really.
at all. No, I did not. I hated Journey because yeah, I just did not like Journey. But now I kind of dig them. So,
Yeah, they're and
yeah.
yeah. Say what you want to about Steve Perry, but
Yeah.
he's got some chops.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
He's got a powerful voice.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a
So,
lot of power behind his
yeah.
voice. There
Yeah.
are a lot of guys in rock that have these wonderfully powerful voices, even though they're not my favorite bands.
Right. You respect them at least.
I do. I like for another example. I mean, this guy is a total
Yeah.
jackass, but Paul Rogers, very
Oh,
powerful
yeah, yeah,
voice,
yeah. Yeah.
very powerful voice.
Right.
Um, Lou Gramm is one of my favorite voices in rock and roll. You know Lou Gramm from Foreigner.
Right. Right.
That's Lou
Yes.
Gramm. And
I've
then
been waiting for a girl like you.
because it's urgent,
Yeah.
so urgent.
Yeah.
And David Coverdale, fabulously powerful voice. Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that
Yeah.
I own Whitesnake records because I can't do that.
Yeah. I was never a big Whitesnake guy, so
I can't lie to you and tell you that I don't have
yeah.
Whitesnake Here I Go Again on my
Right.
iPod because I totally do. But
So this is iPod Confessions with Zan.
iPod Confessions with Sam.
Yeah. So one of the other things, this song was used, like I said in the final episode, during that really unsettling sex scene between Cooper and Diane,
Yeah.
or was it Richard and Linda? We're still trying to figure that one out.
God, nobody knows. Nobody
So,
knows.
and we're never gonna get an answer.
Yeah,
But
seriously.
but yeah. So it was very interesting that song. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was it no, it wasn't that. Okay, I'm trying to think. I thought there was I was thinking this for some reason that was the Diane moment, but I think that was a different song where Diane goes to Gordon's hotel room. I thought
That's
there was
American Woman.
That's American one. That's
Yes.
the song that was used again. That's what I'm thinking. Thank you for reminding
Hmm.
me. Yeah, thanks. Okay, that song was also used twice. All right,
Right.
so all right. Next track. I love this track. Rebekah Del Rio's "No Stars."
Oh my God, Rebekah Del Rio.
This
Gorgeous
was
voice.
holy.
Gorgeous woman.
This woman has
Gorgeous
power.
outfit in this
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this
yeah,
episode
yeah,
with
yeah.
her Black Lodge chevron dress.
Yes. Yeah. Holy crap! I think this is one of my favorite Roadhouse performances. I think it's this song and then Shadow. I think are my two favorites.
Hmm.
And this song was actually from 2011,
Hmm.
from one of her solo albums. But it's used in part 10, at the end of part 10, and holy crap, it's so good.
She's amazing. She's
Yeah,
actually she's advertised as having a 3 octave range. That's crazy.
I totally believe it. I totally believe it. Now, especially if you've seen the movie Mulholland Drive,
Oh my God.
where she sings a song called Lorendo, and
Hmm.
that is the Spanish version of Roy Orbison's song "Crying."
Which is
Holy
the
crap!
best Roy Orbison song available
Yeah.
on the planet.
Well,
Roy
I like
Orbison.
no, well. I tell you, no. There's a version that on see I dig Roy, and there was a cover version with him and Katie Lang of "Crying," which is incredible.
I'll bet that is pretty good.
Katie
I think
Katie
I
Lang
remember
does
that.
has a great job with crying. So check that one out as well. But definitely check out
Because
Lorando because yeah, that's great.
crying is a really hard song to sing. It
Well,
starts out like
well,
kind of,
yeah,
just kind of slow and depressed. It sort of is that song where it starts out with somebody, finally getting up off of this couch after being broken up with
yeah,
and started to sing. And then they just start really getting emotional and just belting
belting.
it out. And
Yeah,
um, he is just an incredible vocalist. And Roy Orbison is a fascinating character because if you were to look at him and have have no idea what he did, I mean, he's a short, goofy looking guy.
yeah, he's very odd looking.
He's a very
He's
goofball looking
with
guy,
those
like with a
big
big
glasses,
goofy grin.
big dark glasses,
Yeah,
and
and
with a
he's
kind of like a bowl shaped haircut,
mhm.
and so maybe combed over a little bit, but um,
and then and then when he was older,
yeah,
he he had like this ridiculous wig.
yeah. Well, that's what I kind of wasn't
It
thinking
was
about. Yeah, yeah,
sort of like
the
a
wig, yeah,
like a
like a toupee. I mean, but yeah,
like a bowl cut, like almost sort of,
right, right.
and
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
the first, but then he's this fantastic guitar player and this amazing vocalist. The
yeah.
first time
No,
I ever saw,
he has a powerful voice.
he has an incredibly powerful voice, and he has a falsetto that he can
Yep,
really control very well. He's just incredible. And the first time I ever saw Roy Orbison, I was a kid,
right.
maybe 10 or 11 years old, something like that. I didn't know, I knew the song Pretty Woman, but I didn't know, excuse me, Oh, Pretty Woman is the name of
Right.
that song.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't know who that was.
Even Van Halen fans will jump you on that one.
Even Van Halen's know that. Even Van Halen
Yeah.
fans know that. So
Yeah.
I knew what that song was, but I didn't know who the guy was. I'd never seen him, nothing like that. And then I was 10 or 11 years old, and he was on Saturday Night Live.
I think I
And
remember seeing that. Yeah.
here is this weird looking guy with this crazy hair, these gigantic, they're not only big
Glasses.
framed glasses,
Right.
they're Coke bottle glasses.
They're basically like Harry Carey glasses.
They're
These
Harry,
glasses.
exactly. They're Harry Carey glasses. And he had on a black suit with a
Right.
red shirt and a bolo tie.
Right.
And I'd never seen anything like this before. And I'm thinking, what in the world? Who is this? And I asked my mom, I said, is he blind? What do you think? She said, no, he's all right.
And that's a fair question because he did. Yeah, his glasses kind of look like he might be blind, like Ray
They were
Charles.
so thick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so then, this slow drum beat
Yes.
starts
Yes.
and it's crying. And
Right.
it was the most amazing thing I'd ever heard. I couldn't believe how beautiful that song was. Like I said, I was like 10 or 11. And when I'm by myself in the car, I try to sing that song and I just
Yeah.
butcher it, but it's so much fun to sing. It's like,
It is. Well, I mean, because everybody can identify with that heartbreak,
yeah, totally.
and especially if you loved and lost, and just that kind of rage that you feel inside of not being able to be with that woman or guy or whatever that you love.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just comes out, the passion comes out in that when you're singing that song.
Right. And that's the thing, people often will do lists about the greatest love songs, but sometimes I think even better are greatest breakup songs.
Yeah, I think heartbreak songs are great.
Yeah, breakup songs and
Because they're more real. Yeah,
yeah, or songs about longing. Like
yeah.
one of my all-time favorite songs is "Since I Don't Have You," and partially because of its appearance in Buckaroo Banzai, I think of it as a very romantic
don't
song.
have simple things.
And I
Yeah.
don't have hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore that song, and but yeah, the breakup songs they're almost better.
Yep.
But Roy Orbison, it's like he doesn't he doesn't look like a guy who would be like this amazing guitar god with this amazing voice. I mean, the only person who can even compete with Roy Orbison when it comes to that kind of vocal is like Gene Pitney,
I thought
who
Chris Isaac would be in that kind of range.
Chris Isaac is good with with the smooth voice and the
Right,
falsetto,
right.
but he doesn't have that power as much behind it. Like if you think about it,
Yeah,
think
no,
about
I mean, not as much. Every so often, that kind of I think it creeps in, but it's not. Yeah, it's not as prevalent.
he's got a real Roy Orbison feel with the same kind of
Yeah,
jangle guitar and the
right,
falsetto.
right.
But when you think about the end of Crying, where he's just totally belting it,
Yeah,
I can't see a Roy Orbison doing that. He's too chill,
yeah. You're
you know.
right. I agree with that. That's fair.
But I mean, when you think about a Gene Pitney with something like I'm Gonna Be Strong,
Yeah.
something like that, which is, if you guys don't know that song,
Look it
find
up.
that one, because you'll think you can sing along, and then you get very, and I'll break down and ride. Like, I mean, he does this almost operatic ending to this song.
Right.
Or something like Town Without Pity. Where, what a town without pity can do. Just that really grandiose, powerful thing. I think they're sort of in a class of their own. So, but
Totally agree.
yeah, yeah.
That's great.
How'd we get on Roy Orbison?
Well, well, we were talking about Rebecca Del Rio
Yes, we
and
were
and
about Crying,
and
right?
her Spanish cover of "Crying."
Which is just
So
so.
it's
Her voice
yeah.
is so gorgeous, and
Well,
that song
we
is so gorgeous to begin
yeah, it
with.
is, and No Stars is totally in that ballpark because I mean it's 7 minutes long and 7 minutes 21 seconds according to the soundtrack here,
Hmm.
and Lynch, um, pretty much let that song go. He just
Yeah,
it wasn't truncated at all. He just let that play out, and you're just kind of like, it's got this. It starts because it kind of bleeds from the previous scene where there's this kind of wispy wind sound that flows into the song, and it's like it's at night, and like you'd see the moon or whatever, and then it flows right into the song,
hmm,
and it's just it's hypnotic, this performance. And her
yeah.
voice, and you have this stunning woman in Rebecca Del Rio, and she's just laying the song out, and she has this range that just hypnotized me. I just thought it was great,
She's unbelievably beautiful with her
great,
voice.
fantastic presence.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And um, it's he um David Lynch put her in Mulholland Drive because of her
Yeah,
cover of Crying. They were, he was just as captivated by her as the rest of us were.
yeah. So this is
She's
again where Lynch exposes somebody you would never have heard of otherwise,
hmm, right.
and
Well, you might if you were, in
if you're
Southern
into
California or
right,
Mexico.
that's true. But I mean, but like say here we
Yeah,
are in Ohio.
yeah.
It's
Hmm.
not exactly, you don't get a lot of Latin flavor in Ohio.
Not no, not as much as we should.
Nope, nope. So that's kind of cool that but that we're exposed to something like that. So
Hmm.
credit to Lynch for doing that.
Yeah.
Next track is a cover of "Viva Las Vegas," that 1964 Elvis Presley classic.
Hmm.
This time by Sean Colvin in part
Sean
11.
Colvin. Yep.
And
And this.
and this is the song where they're just kind of driving around Las Vegas,
Hmm.
and we get shots of Vegas, looking at all the casinos, and like driving up the strip. And
And I've always liked this cover of Viva Las Vegas, this Sean Colvin cover. Which, if those of you if some of you are out there thinking, I think I've heard this song before.
yep.
It's in a little movie that a couple of brothers did called The Big Lebowski.
Oh, okay,
It's over the end credits of The Big Lebowski.
okay. See, I never heard
And
this one. And I don't think because like I've seen the Big Lebowski, but and then like I didn't quite read. I was like, I knew I've heard this song before, and I couldn't
Hmm.
quite place
Yeah.
where. So that's where it is. Okay.
Yeah, it's over the credits of the Big Lebowski. And I like this one um, because it's such a more chill version of the song. You know, because
Yeah.
the Elvis version, dun 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's so much
It's supposed to get you
faster.
like, oh yeah, excited and like,
Yeah, it's like
hey,
the go-go dance
you're
version
spinning
of
the
the song.
roulette wheel, and yeah, you're just getting
Hmm.
into
Yeah,
the
it's
whole
the fast
caught
pace.
up in the Vegas thing, and then
Yeah,
but
the
yeah,
fast moving city.
yeah, but this one's all
So,
yeah, you're right, it's more laid back and
yeah, I've always liked this version of the
like I'm
song.
just like cruising around in my convertible, driving around
Mhm.
Vegas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Sean Colvin is wonderful. I like her very much. I think she's got a great voice and she's a very good guitar player. And she's just kind of chill. She's just one of those people that you sort of expect to be just walking down the street in Nashville with her guitar,
right.
just doing her thing. And she's doing her lullaby music, and she's very chill. I like that about her. I like that quite a bit.
Next track is very controversial
Hmm.
because we get the return of Just You by James Marshall. And yes, that Just You. You know, from season two, episode two of the original series,
Hmm.
where that infamous scene where James, for whatever
Oh.
reason, decides to sit around playing his guitar with Donna Hayward and Maddie Ferguson,
Hmm.
just
With them
kind
on
of
backing vocals.
on backing vocals and his little yeah. So and just belting this one out, and or well, they're kind of quietly belting this one out, I should say.
Yes, this is a sweet
Yeah,
little soft
yeah,
love song.
yeah, yeah, and it's such a very simple song. Lynch wrote this one,
Hmm.
and very simple lyrics. Just you and I together forever in
In
love,
love.
in
Yep.
love. So, um, but yeah, he decided to bring this back, and I mentioned this before when we reviewed part 13 that I thought he was just like totally trolling the haters on this one by bringing this one
Well,
back.
and I was realizing, I was thinking about this when I was thinking about this soundtrack, that I think that at the time when I first saw this, it, the same way I was with some of the scenes in the new series that I don't mind when I watch them again.
Right.
I'm just so impatient to get the story. Like I'm so impatient for that, and I never particularly liked Donna Hayward's character. I didn't mind her, but I didn't. She really pissed me off after what she did with Harold.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So I
Because
kind
she
of,
manipulated him to get a hold of Laura's diary.
yeah, exactly. And so that really bothered me. And Harold was just I absolutely loved
Well,
Harold.
he was so uncooperative, so they kind of had to do something. But
But
still,
still, I mean, that's
I would think just go to the police and go, hey, Harold's got the diary in there. Go in and get it.
something. I mean, he's so, he's just this. They're taking advantage of a mental illness, and I just
Right,
hated that about her. So
right, right.
I wasn't a huge fan of Donna,
Yeah,
and
and there was times where like she would try to act all badass by smoking and
the
just
whole sunglasses and smoking bullshit. Like
yeah. Like, hey,
she acted like she
she's
wanted to
like,
do it with me between the bars.
I can be dark too, just like Laura.
Yeah,
See, everyone.
no, you have
Yeah,
no idea, Donna. Don't even pretend.
she she was such a poser, Donna.
She acted like she wanted to do it with me right through the bars. I
Yeah,
mean, just
yeah,
that whole
yeah,
thing was just weird. But
yeah.
so I wasn't a big fan of Donna. And now, correct me if I'm wrong though. This is the episode where Maddie sees Bob come at her after
Oh,
these. Is that this
yes.
episode? I think that is this
I
episode.
I think it is too. Yes, yeah.
And
So
so
yeah, that
I
was very
when
big.
I look back on it, I think about what an interesting dichotomy that was to have this sweet little song. Just these teenagers in the living room
Yeah.
record their own music, this cute little love
Well,
song.
and that's what the thing that Lynch does so well. He takes these sweet, innocent moments and just perverts this into darkness.
Seriously, yeah, and that's the thing he does.
That's his shtick, and
Master of that.
that's
Yeah.
that's his move. So it's his like his signature,
Hmm.
um, where he takes something sweet and innocent and flips it and says, or like turns it over and goes, "See, look at all the like maggots underneath or whatever." So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of the maggots on the rotten mashed potatoes.
exactly.
But I was actually really surprised because I was just sort of like when this show was first on, we all sort of just giggled about this song and kind of made fun of it. And
Right, right.
when it came on, when the new series was on, I started to cry. I got really choked up by
You
the
get did
nostalgia
now?
of it.
Did you get nostalgic? You got nostalgic about it.
I got very nostalgic. I was like, oh, like
Yeah,
I can't believe I'm nostalgic for this song that I gave such a
yeah.
hard time to.
Right.
And I was listening to it again
So
today.
did it redeem itself in your eyes?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I was listening to it again today and I'm like, this is a cute little song.
Right.
I think if it had
Why
been,
was I so worked up back in the day?
yeah, I think if I had been a little more patient with the show or a little
Yeah.
more patient with Donna or something, I don't know what it was, but it just was not what I was here for when it
Right.
came to the original series. But, just having it at the Roadhouse. And that's the thing. I always did like James. As much as I didn't want to deal with the James Hurley saga of him making all these bad decisions and doing all kinds of bad things, I liked James.
Yeah, James was a good guy. He was just, as Laura herself said, he's very dumb.
He's he's James
He's
is
so
really,
dumb.
but right now I can only take so much of sweets.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, James is cool. James has always been cool.
Yep.
So I like that he's, and this is yet another example,
And
with him playing with,
it gave James Marshall a showcase scene.
sure did. Yeah. It just goes to show another example of how Laura has affected everyone and that effect is going to last forever. You have James singing this song, which he probably wrote for Laura. I mean, let's admit it.
Right.
And then you have Bobby walking into the conference room with her picture who just starts to cry. That, the people Laura touched, that touch never goes away.
Yeah. Even 25 years later. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Next song, Green Onions, that 1962
Classic.
classic by Booker T and the MGs.
Booker T and the MGs, the MGs who were no less than three Blues Brothers.
Right.
Were in the MGs. The MGs included Donald Dunn, Steve Cropper, and Willie Hall.
Nice.
So
Donald Duck Dunn.
Donald Duck Dunn. Yes, exactly.
I just watched Blues Brothers not too long ago. But this
We
is
had a
obviously
band powerful enough to turn goat piss into gasoline.
so this turned up in part 7, which is kind of weird because that we go all the way
The
back.
sweeping.
The
sweeping.
Exactly. This is the notorious sweeping music of the Roadhouse.
Yep.
But even the sweeping, just hey, just kind of close your eyes and listen to the music because hey, it's a great number. And
Well, and again,
it gets interesting enough. It's an instrumental, so why wasn't it on the score?
I think because it was such an existing song, and it was in the Roadhouse.
That's
so
true.
It's probably because
I see. Yeah, because this is the Roadhouse album. I get it. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, this is the Roadhouse album.
That makes sense to me. Okay. All
so
right.
what and this is another scene where I was so impatient to hear the end of this story that when this came on, I was like, "Oh my God, we don't have time for this!" But now that it's all over,
well, yeah, because here we are by part 7. We've got all these new questions we want answers to,
and we're like,
answers. And we're like, David Lynch, why are you dicking around with all this other crap we don't care about?
Seriously, we do not care about this right now, and so I was so impatient with it. I'm like fast forwarding. Come on, stop sweeping. But now that it's all over, I watch the scene and I just laugh. I mean, to me, it's just funny.
Yeah.
But it's, this is what happens at the end of the night at the Roadhouse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nothing magical. We just sweep up and we, put a quarter in the jukebox and listen to whatever song we want to listen to while we're cleaning. That's what happens.
No. We badly sweep up because the guy sweeping up did a horrible job at sweeping up.
He did a horrible job, yes.
Yeah. All right, next song. Lizzie's song Wild West, which again is another Roadhouse mix. This is at the end of part 14.
Mm-hmm.
And Apparently, the MC was really excited about this because when he announced Lizzie, he's just like, "And now Lizzie," and he's all
Yeah, he was very excited.
animated about it. Like,
Hmm.
okay, you're really into this one, okay.
Yep.
And now this song, it's interesting, but I don't think it really fit the series at all.
I don't think it fit that much either. This one didn't grab me all that much. I mean, it's not,
It just seems so poppy
yeah, she's
and
fine.
mainstream, like a
It
mainstream
just
song.
wasn't, yeah, it just didn't have that Twin Peaksy feel to it to me.
Yeah, this one didn't work for me. I would
Yeah.
have gladly sacrificed this song for Red River Valley. I'm sorry,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
in a
That's
heartbeat.
seriously. Heck, I would have sacrificed Green Onions for that. I got Green Onions on like 7 different compilations.
That's a good point. That's a
I
good
don't
point.
need that one.
That, that's a good
But
yes.
yeah, any girl guitarist I give kudos to. But
Props
yeah,
to
this one just
yeah.
didn't fit for me that well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I have nothing against the song, but I just don't think it fit here.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
yeah.
too happy for Twin Peaks.
It was. Next song after that is "Sharp Dressed Man" by apparently the MC's favorite band, ZZ
The
Top,
MC's favorite band is ZZ Top,
which I thought was
which
hilarious. So this is the 1983 song from the Eliminator album, which I owned on
this
cassette back in
this
the
is a
day.
fantastic record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a great. I mean, you had Legs, you had Give Me All Your Lovin',
All your
lots of
hugs and kisses too.
exactly. So
Yep.
and this is like this band. Now they had played stuff in the '70s and whatnot, but when they first arrived on MTV with the Eliminator album, that's when they hit
Hmm.
big. They hit big with that. And they had these great videos with hot looking cars, hot looking girls, and so yeah.
Yeah, that was a.
And the next thing you know, they end up in Back to the Future Part 3.
Were they in Back to the Future Part 3?
Yeah, they're the band. Remember, they're when Marty is he's at that carnival, and like he's trying out his new 6 shooter or whatever,
Hmm.
and then you've got old Biff, um, that he causes a stir, and everybody's just like, okay, everybody, like go back to normal. The situation's all cleared up now, and then he nods to the band to start playing, and it's ZZ Top, and they like I forget the guy with the
Is that
guitar.
Back to the Future
He
3 or Back to the Future 2?
It's Back to the Future 3.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I have not seen that movie in a bajillion
But
years,
yeah, that
so
ZZ Top is actually in the movie as like Western versions of themselves.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so definitely worth checking that out. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll have to,
just do Back to the
fast
Future.
forward through that to
Well,
see.
just go on YouTube and go Back to the Future ZZ Top, and you pull it up.
Okay.
Because what it is they did the song Double Back on the soundtrack.
Okay.
So got to
Okay.
double back my friends, double back again.
That's
So yeah,
yeah, I have not. I think I honestly think I've seen that movie one time.
yeah. Well, if nothing else, it's worth checking out that scene for
But yeah,
ZZ Top.
ZZ Top, you know, really kept rock in the 80s, even though they did have some synthesizer stuff. It
Yeah,
was like Van Halen. Like it tells you when the era was, but it doesn't date the music, if that
yeah,
makes any sense.
yeah,
It's a good use of synthesizer, unlike some of the, and I hate to say it,
yeah,
as much as I love these bands, but um, I don't think bands like Iron Maiden or Judas Priest did as good of a job bringing synthesizers into their music in the 80s
right.
as like ZZ Top or Van Halen did.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially like on like Van Halen's 1984 album.
I'm thinking specifically of Jump,
Yeah. Okay.
the keyboard opening and Jump.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And the keyboard solo in that is, you get almost as excited listening to that as you would like a guitar solo.
Right.
So
But yeah, this song here, yeah, Sharpness Man, one of the classics, and so it was interesting that song, and of course this is where in the Roadhouse where Freddie, he with the Freddie McRubber Fist,
Freddie McRubberfist, yep.
Lays into these guys that are dogpiling on James because
Mm-hmm.
he was so stupid as
James
to
is so
like hit
dumb.
hit on a guy's wife next to her husband and his wingmen.
Uh-huh. Yeah, come on, dude.
Idiot.
The hell's the
So
matter with you?
seriously. So and then of course the great moment where like moments where like whenever Freddie hits one of the guys with his McRubber fist, that
Mm-hmm.
the song Sharpness Man actually skips like a record, like the record
Yeah,
skips as a result, which I thought was a nice touch.
I think that is really
Like
funny. And
because anybody that's had a turntable, especially if you're in a vinyl that
Mhm.
you bump something or whatever and the record skips, it's that
Or
kind
you
of stuff.
dancing too hard, or
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yep.
And there's a and I've always I love ZZ Top. They're good sports. I mean, they've been in some other pop culture things and some other television stuff. One of my favorite things that they did that I thought was hilarious, well, that the bassist did.
Yeah.
ZZ Top is three guys: Billy Gibbons, Dusty Hill, and Frank Beard. Oddly enough, Frank Beard is the one without any facial hair.
And that's how you know him.
He's the drummer. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
who doesn't have the long.
He's the guy with the porn stash.
Yeah, he's the guy with the porn stash in the back with the mullet. Um, he there was an episode of King of the Hill where
Yeah.
they wrote into the story that Dusty Hill is actually Hank Hill's cousin.
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that
great.
he's actually Hank Hill's cousin is Dusty Hill.
That's brilliant.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, see, there you go. I need to check out King of the Hill. You need to check out Back to the Future 3.
All right.
For ZZ Top.
Deal. For ZZ
Yeah.
Top, I'll do it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and ZZ Top, ZZ Top is they're one of those bands that you just rock out and they're just
Yeah.
you're
I
just
mean,
gonna,
it's great. Like just it's a good classic Southern rock feel to it. But then, but it, obviously it's in the '80s, so it's a little more geared toward '80s type music, but still very Southern rock.
mm-hmm. They
So,
they are, well they're Texas, so
exactly. That's as Southern as it gets. So
yeah, exactly. They're naughty boys too. Let me tell you, some of their songs are naughty. There's some naughty songs.
Well, much respect then. So I
Yes,
respect. All right.
you gotta love the ZZ Top.
Exactly. Next track is Axolotl by the Veils, and this is another
The
band
Veils, yeah,
but I wasn't hip to, but now I am, and I really like the Veils.
I really like.
I really like this number. For those who don't know, Axolotl is a Mexican salamander.
Mhm.
So now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Go Joe.
So you're wondering, well, like, okay, he's talking about axolotl. What the hell is he talking about? It's talking about a Mexican salamander, which is like it's almost like a mutant version of that salamander. So that kind of fits very well with David Lynch's world because he
Yep.
loves it. He loves his mutants. Let's just put it that way. If you've ever
He
watched the
loves
movie
his-
Eraserhead, he
Oh
loves his
boy.
mutants. Yeah.
Yep. My goodness.
But this song, I mean, I like this one. It's got a great beat, and just it's very alternative in the sound, and like college rock, college alternative station.
Yeah, what we used to
type.
call college rock. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
college rock. So I dig
Yeah.
this one a lot just for that, and definitely turned me on to the band. So I like that one. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and they're one of their labels was they've been on Rough Trade Records, which is one of the alternative rock
Okay.
Dynasty albums, Dynasty labels. So.
Yeah. So to put it in modern terms, they would be on Siriusxm channel 35 on Siriusxm.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have
That type of band.
Serious,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So if you
that
so
is
if you're
good to know. Does
so if
Fred
you're in-
Schneider still have a show on Sirius?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
think so. I don't
Because
think so.
that almost pushed me over the edge, just to be able to listen to Fred Schneider's show, but I didn't. I wound up not doing it. So.
Yep. I'm big into like the new wave and of course the grunge channel Lithium. Those are my two favorite stations.
That's a good.
Yeah, isn't that a great '90s
Mhm.
music station?
Yeah, that's.
Because
I know
obviously
exactly.
the Nirvana album, yeah.
I know exactly what that's going to be.
Or the Nirvana song, yeah, Lithium.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. Next track on this album was Eddie Vedder's Out of
Edward Louis
Sand.
Severinsen.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that guy. AKA Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. We kind of talked about this when we reviewed part 16. This song didn't grab me. But then again, I've never been big Eddie Vedder Pearl Jam guy, so I may be a little biased on this one.
It's an interesting thing. I was never a particularly huge Pearl Jam fan. I saw them in 1992 at Lollapalooza before 10 really hit big.
Right.
And it was early on in the show, and it was so early on that we were able to just sort of like walk from our seats like up to the front. So I'm like up at the front row watching these guys like, yeah, they're not so bad, and then all of a sudden they become this huge juggernaut of a band. I wasn't a big fan of them in high school, but I will admit that by the time I got to college, I'm like, this Even Flow song is really, really good.
I think that's probably my favorite of theirs.
My favorite is probably, and this is an album that nobody particularly likes. I mean, if you want to buy this album, you can go find it in pretty much any used record bin for like $1.
Yeah.
Better Man. I really like that song.
Okay, that's a good song.
It's on Vitology, which people sort of said was not a very Pearl Jammy record or something like that. But and so like I said, you can find it used really easily. And I was like, okay, great, this works for me.
Sold. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I really like that one. Eddie Vedder is somebody that I think I would like as a person.
Right.
But I just never got into Pearl Jam. So
yeah. And as a result, I don't think this one. I mean, for me at least, it doesn't work as a Roadhouse song.
It works as a Roadhouse song, but I think it sort of slowed things down a little bit. And
I mean, and this is
the kind of song that I like. This is like James singing, like just a dude and his guitar at the Roadhouse is something I would expect.
Right.
But I feel like it sort of brings down the crowd. Like, if you notice, like
the tempo is lower because of
it. Just sort of brought the room down a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a bad song, but it sort of brought the room down a little bit. So,
now the next song, Otis Redding's "I've Been Loving You Too Long,"
and Otis Redding is
to stop
so
now.
Good.
Yeah,
he's so good anyway. But now this song, just makes me so happy.
Yeah, this one definitely brings a smile to your face. At least it does to me, because we know this from part 15 as the "Oh my God, finally Big Ed and Norma hook up" song.
They're finally going to get married to each other.
They're finally going to get married to each other at last.
At last.
Oh
my God.
That's another great song. And James "At Last" would have worked for that song too, or that scene too. But
there was just something about this one with Otis
Ed and James. Yeah, Ed and James "At Last" is kind of a cliche at this point.
Unfortunately,
because it's been used so much.
Sadly, one of my all-time favorites, and I thought about having it at my wedding, but then I was like, oh God, everybody's doing that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like we thought about that too, and they're just like, well, everybody uses it. See, but
it was at my wedding. It wasn't my first dance, but it was at my wedding.
Right, got it.
So,
this song is from the Monterey Pop Music Festival. Yeah, this was back in 1967 in California, and so obviously this is a live track, and it works really well. I love this song a lot. And
it works really well too, because it's one of those that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go. You're fine. Go ahead.
It works really well for this because it's one of those songs that sort of starts out, like we were talking about with Crying. It sort of starts out kind of slow, but then crescendos into this
passionate,
incredible, incredibly passionate thing. And then Otis Redding, he's so, with that, growly, manly, masculine voice, and you have it with combined with Big Ed Hurley, who is such a man's man, and
you
can
easily
so
picture
romantic.
You can picture Big Ed actually singing this if he was forced to do karaoke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's this big soulful sound from Otis Redding, and just you feel that you can feel the like he's been like has these such strong emotions for whomever he cares about, and
Hmm.
when he finally gets to, you know, he's talking like he's going, oh, great God Almighty, and just gets all
Yeah,
excited, and so it just reaches this crescendo at the end of the song that just is so powerful,
mm,
and
that's
and it's
the
just
yeah, just
and like if you're watching Big Ed and Norma, you're just like, yes, yes, testify,
you're
testify,
just so happy that freaking finally,
yeah, this 20,
yeah,
well, like Big Ed's 25 plus years of heartbreak, pining over Norma, finally pay off. So yeah,
yeah.
so that
I
was
mean,
great.
it's like,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, when you think about, Otis Redding and his songs where he just, like I said, he just sort of like, sort of growly
yeah,
shouts songs out. Like, think about like something like Try a Little Tenderness,
yeah,
where it starts out, I'm waiting, just anticipating, and then it just really goes out from there.
yeah.
Squeeze me, tease me, please me, and it's really, you're just by the time you're so excited about
You get caught up in it.
Big Ed and Norma, like when you see Norma's hand on Big Ed's shoulder, you're
Yeah,
like, yes, and then that's what the song starts to crescendo, and it was just so perfect.
and
And
it's one
it's
of
true,
those,
he has been loving her too long,
right. And
and
here
it's
we like,
about freaking time.
yeah, pretty much, yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that was great. Um, Final track, "The World Spins"
Oh,
by Julee Cruise. So as you called it, Julee Cruise was the last performer in the Roadhouse.
mm-hmm.
Very fitting.
Yep.
And now it's not a new version of the song. It's just the same track from um, that we heard way back for the first time um, in episode 7 of the second season. That was big because, oh hey, that's the episode where Maddie dies at the
Mm-hmm.
hands of Bob,
Right.
and in this really great scene where Cooper's sitting in the roadhouse and Julee Cruise is there singing the song, and then he has a vision, and the giant appears, and just we kind of cut into this death scene,
Yeah.
and then we go back to the roadhouse, and there's just this somberness, this just
Mm-hmm.
this heartbreak that something horrible is just that we've just watched has happened, and all the people in the roadhouse that weren't there, did not witness that horrible event,
Mm-hmm.
still seem to feel that something horrible has happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we all, it's like, some girl from Montana's voice cried out in terror and was suddenly silenced.
Right.
It was,
That was a great mashup, by the way.
thank you.
You just mashed up Star Wars and Twin Peaks. That's well played. But so yeah, and so here, though, thankfully not as heartbreaking, but
Well, it is a little
well,
heartbreaking for
what
us because it's over.
well, yeah, and also it was after the that um, where Laura had disappeared at the end of part 17, that
Hmm.
big cliffhanger.
Right. Right.
So, like where Cooper was kind of leading her through the Ghostwood Forest,
And all of a
and
sudden
and
she's
then
not with him
yeah,
anymore.
all of a sudden you hear that scream and she's not there, and he looks back, and then we cut to the roadhouse
Yeah.
for and just like another big moment for the series. So
Dun 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 dun.
yeah, yeah. So like an ending on Julie Cruz is the soundtrack, and especially this song. I've always liked this song,
I
and
love this song.
I talked about this that "The World Spins" was one of the titles I was like considering for this podcast,
Yes, that's right. That's
because
right.
I just love the title, and I just love everything about this song. Um, it's just so evocative to me.
Hmm.
So this was a home run, and of course, ending the soundtrack with this song is just perfect for me.
Yeah, ending the soundtrack with Julee Cruise and specifically this song is
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Julee Cruise was such an interesting artist because I know I knew her
Right.
from Twin Peaks. That's the first time I had ever heard of her, seen her, anything like that. And she's such sort of a fascinating
She's
looking person.
she's an enigma
She is an enigma wrapped
in a
in
mystery
in
wrapped
a in a
in a conundrum.
wrapped in a conundrum, wrapped in a vest.
Yep.
Um, but she had worked previously with David Lynch on Blue Velvet,
Right.
and Angelo Badalamenti as well. She'd worked with them both previously before, but I had not really heard of her um, until Twin Peaks. I didn't really know too much about
Right.
her in
You didn't really pay
role
attention
in
to her.
Blue Velvet. Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention to that. So, and then she, put out that record that I just adored, the Floating
F
into the
f
Night record,
right.
because it
One of my
was like
all-time favorite records, by the way.
it's a fantastic record because it's like more Twin Peaks music.
Yeah.
It
It's like
was.
the unofficial soundtrack because it has so many. It has like I think four songs that were featured in Twin Peaks.
Hmm. And then of course it has the
Oh,
song Fall
and it has Mysteries of Love from Blue Velvet.
from Blue Velvet. Yes, Mysteries of Love from Blue Velvet.
So that right there is another home run.
Exactly, totally. And so it has Falling, which is the Twin Peaks theme song, but with vocals.
Right.
And there was at the time when Twin Peaks was off the air, we had the one soundtrack. Nothing was on videotape yet. There was no such thing as a DVD.
Right.
Here we had this other record,
We played with rocks and sticks. No,
and we liked it.
and we liked it.
And so the yeah, it was so great to have this other record because it was uh, Angelo Badalamenti music. It was the same vocalist, so I absolutely adored this record. And then she did a second record called The Voice
Que-
of Love,
the Voice of Love, yeah, which has Questions in the World of Blue, which is
Questions in
another.
Water Blue.
Love that
Yep,
song.
which makes me cry when I hear it because of uh, that's the song that is playing in the trailer for Fire Walk with Me.
Right.
It's Questions in a World of Blue.
Right.
So, but yeah, I just there's not like you said, there's a The Art of Being a Girl and
Yep.
My Secret Life, and those other records that is you're like, why aren't you making records all the time? You're like amazing. And when you look at her, she would put you in mind of a oh my god, of an Ellen Green. She
Okay.
put you in mind of Ellen Green, especially in Little Shop of Horrors with the platinum blonde hair
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah.
lipstick.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So
That's a great comparison.
thank you.
That's I never would have thought of that, but now that you've brought that up, that's perfect.
She's like this ethereal enigma,
Yeah.
this dreamy voice and this dreamy music. I
Right.
just love Julee Cruise.
Yeah. It was great. So yeah, definitely a great way to end the soundtrack. So with that in mind, though, so do you have a rating for this soundtrack? I know it was kind of weird to have a rating for a soundtrack, but
Um, a rating for this soundtrack. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't really thought about a rating.
if not,
am
that's
gonna
cool.
I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10,
Yeah.
losing a point for not including Harry Dean Stanton.
Okay.
Now that might not be its fault.
Right.
It might be something that was a licensing thing, or
Right.
who knows.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
um, I would have really liked if that had been on there. That would
Yeah.
have been great.
Now I gave it a 9.5. Nine and a half Roadhouse Brooms because yeah, I also took a half point off because of Harry Dean Stanton not being there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
otherwise,
Oh
but
yeah, I should.
otherwise, but otherwise, I love the soundtrack. I just think it's a great soundtrack and lots of great stuff on it. So,
Yeah, and that was a and when I first saw
couple of dud tracks for me, but otherwise, yeah, great stuff.
that we were going to be doing this, that we were going to be doing um a band at the end of every at the end of every episode, I was like, oh, we don't have time for this. It's like we don't have time
Right.
for this, or there's something else I'd rather see more stuff. And of course, that meant that the episode was over,
Yes.
and that of course sucks.
Well, yeah,
The
because I
episode.
remember we were watching these episodes and like all of a sudden the Roadhouse scene would come on. You're just like,
Damn
oh,
it!
it's over. No.
Come on!
Can it just be a few
So,
more minutes? Just a few more minutes,
come
Mom.
on! Just 5 more minutes, honey. Then I'll get up. So
Yeah,
yeah, that was rough.
yeah, it was rough.
But I didn't. Yeah, I mean, with the choice of music, you kind of don't mind.
No. So, yeah. So if you haven't picked up the soundtrack for whatever ungodly reason, definitely pick this one up. It's great.
Yes, definitely.
Totally worth your time. Even if you download it. But
Yeah.
you should buy it because it's cooler to have the
Well,
artwork and stuff.
you can buy it from Amazon on
There you
digital
go.
download, or if you're going to download it, do it from iTunes or Amazon legally and pay for it, because
Yeah, exactly.
good artists deserve your good dollars.
Exactly. Totally agree.
Yep.
Totally agree. And this one definitely deserves it.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
so obviously we're not going to have time to do the score because hey, we've spent 2 hours just talking about this one. So
Yeah. So we gotta do the score another day.
yeah, we're going to have to do that another day,
So,
but we could save that. So I don't know what you want to talk about next week or next time, I should say, next in two
the
weeks
score.
because
We'll
yeah,
talk about the score,
we could talk about the score in 2 weeks then. So yeah, we'll
because
pick
I don't
back.
think. All right, 2 weeks from today.
I didn't know if you want to talk about that or you want to talk about the Firewalk with Me being on Criterion next.
When does that come out?
I think it's the 18th, if
Is
I'm
it
not
the
mistaken,
18th? Okay, I'm not sure.
of
Yeah,
October.
let's
So
finish
for
the
the
score. Let's
okay,
finish the score, and then we'll be able to do
because
Firewalk with Me, and then we will both have read the final dossier.
all right.
So,
As we kind of produce on the fly here. Sorry, everyone, but yeah, we have to kind of figure this out. Thanks
what do
for
you guys think? What would you rather us talk about?
yeah, exactly. We'll take votes. You know, like hey, what do you feel?
Exactly. Yeah, we can do that.
Drop us a line. So hey, if you want to drop us a line and let us know what we should cover next. Do you want to hear the score? Do you want to hear Criterion Walk with Me or whatever we end up calling that one? Um, that drop us a line at either you could reach us on our Facebook page, Ghost with the Twin Peaks Podcast, which is now up to like 69 likes on that. So cheers to everybody for
Thanks,
liking that.
everybody.
Yep. So we
That's
can always
awesome.
use more. If you're not already liking us on Facebook, please do so because that would be awesome. And then you can also reach us on the Twitter machine at Ghostwoodcast.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could just email us, that old school email where you have to do typing and stuff,
Yep.
and hitting that send button,
That's
ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com. And you can reach us that way. Let us know what you think, or let us know what you think of how we're doing on Ghostwood, or any ideas of what you'd like to hear us cover in future episodes. That would be great.
yes,
So,
absolutely.
all right. So, Zan, where can they reach you while we're talking
Well,
about
I'm on the
such things?
Facebook as Zan Sprouse,
The Facebook, yes.
and I am on the Instagram and the Twitters
The
as
Twitter.
Udanax19.
Awesome.
What about you, Charles?
I'm also on the Twitters at Charles Skaggs. Also on the Instagrams at Charles Skaggs. Notice a trend here. Google Plus for all you crazy kids in the Google Plus. And at Facebook at Charles Skaggs. And my blog at Geeky Things.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about Twin Peaks and Ghostwood and all kinds of comic book and sci-fi goodness and And Lord Almighty, there's like all kinds of comic book and TV shows and movies. So uh, lots of stuff to talk about. Talk about Star Trek Discovery, all kinds of things. So please check that out. Now over 1 million page views served.
Hey, check you out.
Yeah, so cheers for all the people that have come to my blog over the years and got me over that mark, and looking forward to the next million. So thanks to everybody who's checked
Fantastic.
that out. And otherwise, I think that's about do it. So for all of us here at Ghostwood, thanks for listening.
Well,
Hope you.
actually, you know what? Before we go,
Yes.
I have a couple of unofficial, unfunded plugs I would like
Ooh,
to put in at the end of our podcast.
shameless plug. Go away.
Shameless plugs.
Go plug away.
First of all, plug away.
Plug away.
That is an old obscure reference, kids. For those of you who are within reasonable driving distance to Monroeville, Pennsylvania,
Yes.
Monroeville, by the way, which is famous for having a shopping mall that
Right.
was used to film Dawn of the Dead,
Ooh, that's right.
the original Dawn of the Dead.
Right.
Monroeville is basically a suburb of Pittsburgh. So if you are in reasonable driving distance to Pittsburgh, December 8th through the 10th is the Steel City Con.
Ah.
And I will be there because you know who else is going to be there?
Would that be your husband?
No, it's not my husband.
Oh.
We are just going as fans. You know, my husband is done with conventions after we get back from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Just a couple of people we might know, like, I don't know, Kimmy Robertson and Harry Goaz and Sherilyn Fenn.
What?
Yeah,
Why am I just now hearing about this?
I don't know. I have no idea. And if you want to bring this back to Back to the Future 3,
Yeah.
Tom Wilson's going to be there too.
Get out.
Get out of it. And Jonathan Frakes, which I am dying to see. Because when I went to Las Vegas this summer, I wanted him to sign something for me, but he was only there
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, and I was just there Thursday and Friday. Like, dang it! But yes, Sherilyn Fenn, Kimmy Robertson.
You know he's going to be directing for Star Trek Discovery.
Isn't it him?
Yeah, he's going to be one of the directors on Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah.
Which I
Take
think is
breaks.
awesome. Yep,
Take
exactly.
breaks.
Maybe
And
he'll
then,
maybe he'll like, he could show us how he sits down in a chair.
Uh-huh.
By raising his
exactly.
leg and sitting down over a chair.
He is a
As I did it-
gigantic man. I don't know if you've ever seen him in person, but he is gigantic. He's this
Yeah.
tall, broad-shouldered, gorgeous specimen of a man.
He's probably like
Son-
two of me. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God, he's huge. But yes, for those of you who are Adventure Time fans, I have a still that I printed out of him as Pillowland Finn that I would like
Okay.
to sign.
Okay.
So,
That's awesome.
but yes, there are 3 Twin Peaks people, and I'm really hoping that Andy and Lucy will do a photo op together.
That would be epic.
It's December, so I won't be able to find it. I just wish I could find some chocolate bunnies to bring.
I just hope the weather's good because December can be kind of iffy, especially in
December,
Pennsylvania.
December has its moments, but yeah, for
Yeah.
us in Columbus, it's about a 3-hour drive. So if
Right.
you're within driving distance, I highly recommend checking that out.
All right.
And if you are in the reasonable driving distance in the Columbus area,
Yes.
on Long Street downtown, Spoonful Records.
Okay.
My buddy Brett Rutland called me up and he said, well, he didn't call me up, he Facebooked me, because who calls anybody these days?
Yeah, exactly.
He said, hey,
that whole thing.
I got the issues of Blue Rose magazine in, if you guys want to
Really?
look at that. Yeah, so if you want to do some Twin Peaks fanzine reading, head on down to Spoonful Records down at 116 East Long Street.
Oh, I need to do that because I would like to check that out.
Yeah, you got to go down there and get it. So he's got a rack of zines and comics and stuff, and one of the things he's getting is a Blue Rose. So I went down there and I'm like, hey, where are they? He's like, they're right here. And I'm like, I'll take them all.
I hope you didn't take them all because I want one.
I think there's 3 issues, and I took his last remaining issues of 1 and 2, but I think there were multiple issues of issue 3.
Oh, okay.
And so I said, hey,
so
go
I
ahead
can't
and
get
have-
1 and 2.
let me know when you get the because I wasn't reading it because I didn't want to read anything until the show was over.
Yeah. I still have my old wrapped in plastic fanzine.
See, I think I've got those somewhere, but I don't know where they are. I'll have to look around and see if I still have them.
Yeah. That was a great magazine back in the day if you're a Twin Peaks fan.
That was a great magazine.
That was like the Bible for what we had back in the day. So yeah.
Yeah, seriously, that's all we had. It was like just a Twin Peaks full on Twin Peaks Starlog. So
right.
Yes, thank you, Brett and Spoonful, for hooking me up with those, and keep me posted when more come in because I will be there with bells on.
All right.
To grab those. So yes, I just wanted the latest Midwestern Twin Peaks news. I wanted to let everybody know about that.
And we'll know where you are because you'll have bells on, so we can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me coming from a mile away.
Exactly. All right. That's just me being a smartass. Sorry.
All right, now we're done. Now we can sign off.
Yeah, now we're getting a little punch drunk. So all right. So thanks for that. Great plugs, by the way. So I learned something today. So if you want to learn more, obviously, come on back to Ghostwood, and we'll be here for episode 23, whatever we end up talking about. And,
I think we should just do the score, but we'll
we can do the score. Well, let's play it on the score because we started.
Play on the score.
Yeah, all right, let's do that. So we'll listen. So we'll review the score, episode 23, as we continue more of listening to the sounds next time, right here on Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast. Bye, everybody.